According to David Attenborough's TV series, The Frozen Planet, Earth's temperature looks set to become warmer than it has been for 3 million years. The result would be vast new areas of drought, mass migrations and flooding through rising sea levels. Similar warnings from the international scientific community are a wake-up call. Yet such calls fall on deaf ears because of the lust for short-term gain of multinational companies and even of electorates. Unless a grassroots spirituality of creation spreads across the world, the future is bleak. That's why this way of life, and in particular its sixth waymark, creation care, is so vital. But we don't start with our care of creation, for even that can be journalistic and ego-centred. First of all, we become aware that we are part of the web of life, that creation has its own intrinsic value, and we allow ourselves to be cherished through creation. We look upon creation as a sacrament, reflecting the glory of God, and we seek to meet God through it, to bless it and to celebrate it. The opening of John's Gospel portrays creation as spoken into being by the one from whom all life comes. Creation springs from God's heart. It is God's heartbeat. If this is so, then how dare we disdain or wantonly destroy it? We recognise, in the words of David Tacey, that we are more than human beings, we are cosmic beings, formed from stardust. And when we catch a glimpse of this deeper belonging, we suddenly feel at home in the universe, and we desire to work for the good of the whole, rather than strive only to satisfy the part. We let the earth, the water, the elements touch us and nourish us. We let nature speak to us, for it is God's mouthpiece. God spoke to Jeremiah through a tree, to Moses through a bush, and to the Magi through a star. The infinite being who birthed the cosmos has not treated it as a clockmaker might treat a clock, leaving it to tick away somewhere on its own, as theologians at the time of Charles Darwin taught. The divine presence is within the great, groaning, evolving cosmos. When the Son of God was nailed to a tree, there was an eclipse of the sun and darkness reigned for 3 hours. When a great cry from Jesus marked his earthly death, there was an earthquake. Rocks and tombs split open, and in the words of an early Saxon poem, all creation wept. The creation is intimately linked to its source. We do not care how long or short a time it took God to bring creation to its present state. We simply long that all may sense wonder at its mystery, wonder that God does not just make a world, but makes worlds that make themselves. We celebrate creation in our hearts, songs, prayers and arts, and on occasion by blessing the earth, the crops or the animals. We affirm God's creation as essentially good, but spoilt by the effects of evil in humans and beyond. That is why we are committed to seeing it cared for, restored and enhanced. That is why we aim to be ecologically aware, to pray for the earth and all God's creatures, and to stand against all that would seek to violate or destroy them. We are led to care for creation in different ways. One person buys locally grown food to avoid the pollution that accompanies food transport. Another buys fairly traded goods to prevent the ousting of those who grow their own food in poor countries. One person only buys cleaning products that do not pollute the drainage water that seeps into the earth. Another conserves water. One person buys vehicles and fuels that are least polluting. Others walk or cycle more, or drive more mindfully and fly less. We take our own shopping bags to supermarkets and dispense with the most poisonous of their cleaning materials. One person cherishes their garden and grows their own food. Another feeds the birds. Those in farming insist on humane treatment of animals, and consumers refuse to purchase products that have involved inhumane treatment of animals. Those who live near forests do not lightly chop down trees for firewood if it means deserts will replace them. We are mindful that the Earth's non-renewable resources are being gobbled up. We use longer-lasting lights, conserve the heat in our homes, and recycle our waste products. We pray for compassionate farming, for clean and green streets. As we are able, we support authorities which protect the environment, agencies which conserve wildlife, and projects which promote sustainable development. The poorest of us, barely able to cope perhaps in an inner city, may feel we can't do all these things, but even we do our bit. St. Columbanus said that if people trample on the earth will trample on them. In Christian tradition, the church is likened to Noah's Ark. The main part of a church building is called the nave, which means ship. Nothing less than a vast Noah's Ark operation is called for today if humans are to cease to trample on the earth and if we are to save humanity from being trampled on. As we live out the sixth element of the way of life, we become earthed people. In the silence, inwardly repeat these words to yourself. From earth I come, to earth I go. Reflect how hospitable is the soil that God has made, how the earth provides a bed for the ocean, a floor for humankind, and grass to feed the sheep and cows. Reflect how like a mother is the soil that God has made. It contains us and feeds us. It warms us and holds us. Allow yourself to listen to the sounds of creation and be touched by it. And then, as we face up to the need to green the church and politics and business, let us gain strength by lapping up the nourishment that pours out to us from our green God.